Here's part 2, what to do next when you're doing your Spread of Islam DBQ essay. So now that you know that the DBQ is out of 7 points and you have to write about 4 documents, and now that you have looked at what all the documents say and thought through the process of what does this mean, how could I source it, how could I group it, and what other vocabulary do I know about it, now you have to choose which 4 of the 7 documents you are going to write about, because that's how you are going to basically fill in the blanks in what you're thinking to do for your thesis, which is your answer to the question that you have to answer in this, which is the prompt from the DBQ page. So remember that your whole purpose for this essay is to evaluate the extent to which conquest brought about the spread of Islam between the 8th and the 14th centuries, which we said was just like asking how much was military conquering a cause of the spread of Islam. So that's the question that you are answering. So if you're going to say that it's somewhat conquest, then maybe you might use documents 3 and 6, possibly. And you would want to put that on your outline skeleton to remind yourself that your first body paragraph topic is going to be proving that conquest actually did spread Islam. And you're going to use documents 3 and 6 as evidence for that. So you're going to explain what the documents mean. You're going to explain in a couple of sentences as well how the meaning of those documents shows that they did, in fact, conquest did, in fact, spread Islam. And you're going to source those documents as well somehow using your happy method, whether it's historical context, audience, purpose, or point of view, and be very, very specific and thorough in how you explain those. Take a look at your notes on sourcing if you need to. So once you decide which documents you want to do, maybe it's 3 and 6 on conquest, and maybe you're like, I like documents 1 and 4, and they show that trade is what spread Islam. Then that's what you're going to go with. Maybe you like document 2 and you want to use religious conversion and the appeal of Islam as your other reason. Whatever documents you decide, that's what's going to then dictate what goes into your thesis. So for example, what we did in period 4 is we did our introduction, which contains your contextualization and your thesis. So we led into our thesis by saying what was going on before the spread of Islam. So how would we do that? We have to set the stage. We have to give the background. We decided as a class that we should start with the establishment of Islam. So we wrote a good 3 to 4 sentences about the establishment of Islam and some vocabulary that goes with that: who, what, when, where, why. And then we had a transition sentence that kind of links those ideas to the spread of Islam. Then we have our thesis, which contains our umbrella claim and our qualifier. So if the prompt is asking us how much was conquest the cause of the spread of Islam, we're going to restate that as conquest was somewhat the cause of the spread of Islam. There's the qualifier that we're saying it's somewhat the cause, not the whole cause, not it's not the cause, but it's somewhat of a cause. However, there were other, and you fill in the blank by saying maybe economic factors that were involved. If you're going to do documents 1 and 4 that show trade. So maybe I might say, however, there were other economic factors that were involved. Military strength, going back to the conquest part, in addition to trade and cultural diffusion, contributed as well. And that's how I would use that, those the ideas from document 1 and 4 to frame my thesis. As I go to writing my first body paragraph, I'm then going to say, okay, my first body paragraph has to be about proving conquest was a cause of the spread of Islam. And my second body paragraph has to be about how trade is the cause of the spread of Islam. So I have a topic sentence that is basically taking half of my thesis and using that half as the topic sentence for my body paragraph. For example, this might look like, conquering more territory was important to expanding Islamic caliphates during the time after the death of Muhammad, or something like that, just to get myself started. Then I could go in and explain in a couple of sentences what document 1 is showing about trade in and around Afro-Eurasia. And then I would need to explain how that backs up my thesis. That those trading commodities, those merchants trading those commodities, were also sharing religious beliefs, and that is a form of cultural diffusion. So you're using the documents as evidence to back up your thesis. Your sourcing is then going to be more analysis of that document to either give historical context or give some kind of other analysis that's showing who the audience is, purpose, or perspective. Remember that if you're doing perspective or any of the happy letters, you have to make sure that you're being very specific, using vocabulary, and explaining it very thoroughly. Okay, so keep doing that for the documents that you need to write about in that body paragraph, and we'll continue on tomorrow adding on outside information and complexity.